Hi, Lauren. It's Grandpa John. I'm going to read another story for you. This is one by Dr. Seuss, and it's called I Had Trouble Getting to Solla Sollew. I was happy and carefree and young, and I lived in a place called the Valley of Vung. And nothing, not anything, ever went wrong until, one day I was walking along. And I guess I got careless. I guess I got gawking at daisies, not looking where I was walking. And that's how it started. Sock, what a shock. I stubbed my big toe on a very hard rock, and I went for a sail, and I sprained the main bone in the tip of my tail. Now, I never had troubles before, so I said to myself, I don't want any more. I'll watch out for rocks with my eyes straight ahead. I'll keep out of trouble forever, I said. But watching ahead, it just didn't work. I was watching those rocks, and then I felt a hard jerk. A very fresh green-headed Quilligan quail sneaked up from in back and went after my tail. And I learned there are more troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, and some come from behind. So I said to myself, now I'll just have to start to be twice as careful and to be twice as smart. I'll watch out for troubles in front and back sections by aiming my eyeballs in different directions. I found this to be quite a difficult stunt, but now I was safe both in back and in front. Then new troubles came from above, from below, a scritch at my neck, a scrink at my toe. And now I was really in trouble, you know. The rocks and the quail and the scritch and the scrink, I had so many troubles, I just couldn't think. There I was, all completely surrounded by trouble, when a chap rumbled up in a one-wheeler rumble. Young fellow, he said, what has happened to you has happened to me and other folks too. So I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I'm off to the city of Solla Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. It is not very far, and my camel is strong, and he'll get us there fast. So hop on, come along. I jumped up behind him. Then all through that day, the wubble wubbed on a wubblesome way. The road got more bumpy and more rocky, more tricky. By midnight, I tell you, my stomach felt icky. And so I said, Mister, please, when do we get to that wonderful town? Aren't we almost there yet? Young fellow, he told me, don't start into stew. At sunrise, we'll drive into Solla Sollew. And you'll have no more troubles. I promise, I do. But when dawn finally came and darkness got light, that wonderful city was nowhere in sight. Instead of the city, we ran into trouble. Our camel got sick and he started to bubble. We had to pull him on the one-wheeler wubble. So there we were in a dreadful position. Our camel sure needed a camel physician. Now, doctors for camels are not often seen, especially on mountains. They're far, far between. But we pulled that old wubble and set out to find some doctor dragging our camel behind. I pulled, and the next thing I knew, I was pulling the camel and the wubble chap too. Now really, I thought this is really unfair. But he said, don't you stew, I'm doing my share. This is called teamwork. I furnish the brains, you furnish the muscles, the aches and the pains. I'll pick the best roads and tell you where to go, and we'll find good doctors more quickly, you know. Then he sat and he worked his brain and his tongue, and he bossed me around just because I was young. He told me go left, he told me go right, and that's when he told me all day and all night. Next morning we located Dr. Sam Snell, who knew all about tonsils and camels as well. Our camel, he said, had a bad case of gleeks, and he should lie flat in bed for at least 20 weeks. I was tired, how I wanted to crawl in that bed, but the wubble chap sent me away, and he said, "Your troubles are practically all at an end. Just run down that hill and around the next bend, and you'll come to Happy Way bus route, my friend. The Happy Way bus leaves at 4:42 and will take you directly to Solla Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few." Well, the bus stop was there, that part was just fine, but tacked on the stick was a very small sign saying, "Notice to passengers using our line. We are sorry to say that our driver, Butch Myers, ran over 4 nails and has punctured all our tires. So until further notice, the 442 cannot possibly take you to Solla Sollew. But I wish you a most pleasant journey by feet. Signed, Bus Line President Horace P. Sweet." So I went on by feet, thanks to Horace P. Sweet, and that Horace P. Sweet almost ruined my feet. 100 miles later, my feet were so sore, then wouldn't you know, it started to pour. I was drenched to the skin when a chap in a slicker spliced up and he yelled, "It's a midwinter jicker. The midwinter jicker came early this year, and it's not going to be very comfy round here. Any fool would get out, so I've packed up my things. I'm off to my granddaddy's, out to Palm Springs. Take cover," he yelled. "Use my house if you wish." Then the chap in the slicker spliced off like a fish. I ran in the house and I fell in a heap. I needed my rest. I just couldn't sleep. Did you ever sleep when your feet were like ice, with a family of owls and a family of mice? I listened all night to the growl and the yowls and the chattering teeth of those mice and those owls, while the midwinter jicker howled horrible howls. I tossed and I flipped and I flopped and I flapped. It was 5:15 when I finally slept. Then I dreamed I was sleeping on billowy billows of soft silk and satin, marshmallow stuffed pillows. I dreamed I was sleeping in Solla Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. Then I woke up, and it just wasn't true. I was crashing downhill in a flubbleless flood, with suds in my eyes and my mouth full of mud, and my nose full of water and my ears full of shrieks of the owls flying off with the mice in their beaks. And I said to myself, now I really don't see why troubles like this have to happen to me. I floated 12 days without toothpaste or soap. I practically almost had given up hope, when someone up high shouted, "Here, catch the rope." Then I knew that my troubles had come to an end, and I climbed up the road, calling, "Thank you, my friend." I got to the top, but it wasn't a friend, and I saw that my troubles were not at an end. A big man on a horse scared me out of my wits. He bellowed, "I'm General Genghis Khan Schmitz. There's a war going on, and it's time that you knew. Every lad in this land has a duty to do. We're marching to battle. We need you, my boy. We're about to attack. We're about to destroy the perilous Poozer of Pamplemousse Pass. So get in line. You're a private, first class." He gave me a shooter and one little bean, which is not very much if you know what I mean. Then he yelled, "Get that Poozer, attack without fear. The glorious moment of victory is near." And the glorious general led the advance, with a glorious swish of his sword and his lance, and the glorious clank of his tin-plated pants. Then we went round the corner and found that, alas, there was more than one Poozer in Pamplemousse Pass. And Genghis Khan Schmidt shouted out to his men, "This happens in war every now and again. Sometimes you are winners, sometimes you are losers. We never can win against so many boozers." So I suggested it's time to retreat, and the army raced off on its tin-plated feet. There I was, with more boozers than I'd ever seen. There I was, with my shooter and only one beam. There I was, and I thought, will I ever get through to that wonderful city of Solla Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. I had a terrible time in staying alive, and then I saw an old pipe that said vent number 5. I didn't have time to find out what that meant, but the vent had a hole, and the hole's where I went. Well, that vent where I went was sort of a funnel that led me down into a frightful black tunnel. The traffic down there was a mess, I must say, with billions of birds going all the wrong way. They bumped me with bikes, they banged me with dishes. I ran into ladders, birds' bottles, and fishes. I skidded on garbage, I fell in a horn. Trouble I wished I had never been born. I was down there 3 days in that bird-filled up place. At least 8,000 times I felt a smack in my face. Injured 3 fingers, both thumbs and both lips, my shin bone, my backbone, my wishbone, my hips. What's more, I was starved, I had nothing to eat. And damp, it was so damp that I grew moss on my feet. And just then, when I thought I could stand it no more, by chance I discovered a tiny trapdoor. I popped my head out, the sky was sky blue, and I knew from the flowers I had finally come through to the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo. I couldn't be far now from Solla Sollew. There it was, with its glittering towers in the air. I'd made it, I'd done it, at last I was there. I knew that I'd left all my troubles behind, when a chap at a doorway that shimmered and shined waved me a wave that was friendly and kind. "Welcome," he said as he gave me his hand. "Welcome, my son, to this beautiful land. Welcome to sweet, sunny Solla Sollew, where we never have troubles, at least very few. As a matter of fact, we have only just one. Imagine, just one trouble, my son. And this one little trouble, as you now will see, is this one little trouble I have with this key. There is only one door into Solla Sollew, and we have a key-slapping slippered, we do. This troublesome slipper moved into my door 2 weeks ago Tuesday at 3:45. Since then, I can't open this door anymore. And I can't kill the slippered, it's very bad luck to kill any slippered, and that's why we're stuck. And why no one gets in, and the town's gone to pot. It's a terrible affair, is it not?" "And so," said the doorman of Solla Sollew, "my job at the door here is finished. I'm through. And I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I'm leaving," he said, "leaving Solla Sollew on the beautiful banks of the river Wahoo, where we never have troubles, at least very few. And I'm off to the city of Boo on the banks of the beautiful river Woo-haw, where they never have troubles, no troubles at all. Come along with me," he said as he ran, "and you'll never have any more troubles, young man." And that's what the man said, so I started to go, but I didn't. Instead, I did some quick thinking inside of my head. Then I started back home to the valley of Vung. I know I'll have troubles, I'll maybe get stung. I'll always have troubles. I'll maybe get bit by that green-headed quail on the place where I sit. But I've brought a big bat, and I'm all ready, you see. Now my troubles are going to have troubles with me. The end. I love you, Lauren. Good night.